Now the CROW to handstand is a fantastic standalone exercise, but it's very, very good at helping you work towards the handstand push-up. So if your goal is to do freestanding handstand push-ups, so go from this position all the way down, head touch, back up again, 4 repetitions with control, using the CROW to handstand as part of that training is very, very beneficial. And today I'm going to teach you how to CROW to handstand, starting with the beginner movements and then working towards the more advanced levels. Now initially we need to build a strong foundation, that CROW position. Now a lot of people's CROW, I think it's more like a yoga position, is going to be very stacked, meaning we're going to be up like this type of thing, right high up. Now that's great for just a balanced static position, but it doesn't work so well when we're trying to transition to handstand or from a handstand to it. So we want to make it a little bit more of a froggy position. What do I mean by that? We need to squish it down a little bit. So we're going to externally rotate the hands. We're going to have the knees more on the outside, so more like this, not so much on top of the elbows like that. And then I'm going to come in more of a froggy position with the legs, so the legs are going out. So notice now the height of the hip and the shoulder, they're more level with each other, so more flatter, not so high up and not so peaked. And what that allows us to do is transition between this position and that and that. So I can tip like a seesaw up and down, and that's going to really help us to get up towards the handstand position. So it's going to send the hips up and the shoulders down. So what I recommend you do to start with is just have a play with that position. Play with the hands, play with going out a little bit more in terms of turning the fingers. Create a little bit more of a shelf with the elbows. So you're going to be like this. And then just see if you can rock forward slowly into that position and either get light toes or lift one foot up in the air. Ideally, you'll be able to lift both feet up in the air, but that might take a little bit of time. So initially, just play around with the position, explore it, video yourself from the side and from the front to see what you're actually doing instead of what you think you're doing. And then once you have that down, we can play with tipping it. So a good goal is just initially to go from a squatty position in to the crow or frog, like so, and then back again. So that covers the underbalance, the feet coming down. Then we can slowly take that head and shoulders down a little bit towards the floor, and then come back up again with the goal, seeing if we can get all the way down so the head touches and then comes back up again. Now don't worry if you can't touch yet, stick a yoga block or a target or something there and lightly kiss the head to it. What we don't want to happen is you to smash your head into the floor, smash your head into the yoga block. It wants to be a real slow transition. So we're going down, hips and feet come up, head and shoulders come down, and vice versa. So you're tipping, and ideally be able to pause at any point through that transition. Next, we want to look at transitioning the feet one at a time. So we're going to try stepping on and off. So I'm stepping onto that position, stepping back off, step on with the other leg, step back off. If that feels okay, see if you can step on and then on with the other leg, and then ideally off. Now this will, again, take some time. We need to get lots of weight into the hands and shoulders to allow the feet to be a little bit lighter. But just make it a very small movement to start with. With consistent practice, it will just get easier and easier and you will be able to step on and off. Once that feels okay, we can raise the feet up a little bit higher. So now I'm going to put the feet up on this step, and then I'm going to come down, touch, and come back again. Look at the elbow, it's creating a little bit of a shelf, and I'm going to that froggy position, and then see if you can go on, and then off for repetition. If you are working on your handstand balance and your handstand strength and you need a little bit more help, check out my app, links are all down in the description, and I also offer online coaching. Once you can do it on and off a step or a chair, you can move up onto the wall. So exactly the same position, externally rotate the hands, bend the arms a little bit, and see if you can step onto the wall and step back off. If that feels okay, see if you can step onto the wall, and then see if you can kiss one knee to one elbow, one knee to the other elbow, and then just see if you can climb into that crow or frog position. Once that feels okay, do the movement, but walk all the way up the wall to your chest to wall position, and then all the way back down, light toes on the wall, see if you can finish in that crow or frog position. Now the next level is going to be a lot more dependent on your handstand balance and your control when lowering. Now that's going to be very different for each individual, for what the balance is like, what your limb length is like, and what your mobility is like as you come down. Ideally here would be able to kick up to a handstand, ideally freestanding, and be able to go into this froggy position on the wall, like a froggy tuck, an open knee position there. Now, in reality, most people aren't going to be here yet, but we want to see if we can step into that position, at least for a second, off the wall. So I'm going to kick up back to wall, have that nice open hand position, nice strong position, and then just see if I can step here, and then come back down with some sort of control. So ideally, it would round through the back a little bit. It's not going to stay flat through the back and fall fast, but we just want to try and close the gap from that froggy tuck position down towards roughly where the crow or frog is in terms of the knees to the elbow position with the most amount of control that's possible for you. So the ideal would be here, freestanding, froggy tuck position, come down, find your crow or frog there, like so. Next, it would just be using the wall a little bit more. So now I've got one foot on the wall, and then I'm going to come down here, bring the other foot there, and then down to that position. You might need to rock onto your toes when you land. If you're more flexible and not so strong in the bent arm position, it might look a bit more pressy, like this. And there is an option where we can put all our weight against the wall, like a press eccentric drill where I externally rotate the hands, kick up, push into the wall. Now we do need to have a conditioned, strong position here, and it should be okay on the wrists. If it feels horrible or you're going to fall into the gap, we definitely don't want to do this one. And then I'm going to try and get down to that position. That is actually very challenging, even though it's giving you lots of help from the wall in terms of the balance. You can easily fall and collapse into the void. So if you really want the clean movement, you just need to put the work in on that freestanding handstand, get a tucky position. It doesn't have to be a clean tuck with the legs together. It actually makes it a little bit better for the crow to handstand if your knees come apart. But the main thing is having control there, where ideally you'd be able to pause in the position as you come down. Then we're ready to have a look at the up. So the up to handstand from the crow position is just going to use lots of momentum and flick off the knees. That could be one leg at a time. So it would look like this. Or it could be both legs at the same time. So shoulders come down, hips come up, feet go up in the air. I find the wall, like so. So it's more about this happening and taking us up. Now be careful when you're playing with this one that you don't sink the arms too deep too quickly, because what we don't want to happen is you come down like this, bury yourself towards the floor and end up here. And unless you're super strong and be able to push out of that position, you're just going to get stuck in a headstand position. So don't take the head and shoulders too low. We just want to bring the hips up enough to get on top and over. See there, I'm about this angle on the elbow, and that's the easiest way to go up, as long as my hips have got the height on top of the shoulders and I can push from there. So as you can see, both of those wall drills are going to take a lot of exploration and play and be very dependent on the individual. So make sure you are filling your gaps, especially when it comes to balance, but also you need a little bit of strength. Ideally, you're going to be able to bang out maybe 5 comfortable pike push-ups. So be able to do this, no problem, here, before you're attempting to do these type of drills. You can bypass that if your stacking is really good, your hips are high, and you've got some balance and confidence already. So as I say, it is very dependent on the individual, on how your crow to handstand is going to look, and also the pathway that you finally take to get there. And then when you feel confident enough, find something like this. So you've got the nice hard floor to put your hands on, but you've got the grass to catch you if you do bail. So I'm going to go into the position exactly the same as what we were just doing against the wall, and I'm going to see if I can rock and go up, and I might need to bail out like that. Because at the moment, what's going to happen is the hips and the feet are going to come up fast, and they're probably going to take you over. Ideally, what will happen is the hips and the legs will come up this way, and you'll pause in the slight underbalance position. So here, there. Now this is the ideal, like I say, but it's very dependent on you having a strong underbalanced handstand like that. Now this type of setup doesn't just work for the going up, it's also going to be your friend for the going down as well. So try and find that strong, balanced handstand, slightly underbalanced, so I'm back more towards my feet, there, and then froggy position, roll down, see if you can find your crow or frog position. So the crow to handstand is a very achievable exercise or skill for most people if they put the work in. You need to be honest with yourself and make sure that you're working towards the flexibility, the strength, the balance, and where your gaps are, but also use your strengths. If you're more flexible, you're going to have more of a stacked entry up, so it's going to look more like this. And probably the same on the way back down to less elbow bend. If you've got more strength but not so much flexibility, it's going to look a bit more like this, and maybe even catch at the top like so. Over time, ideally, you'll start to be able to do both. So you can do the stacked version, the clean version, and you can also use the muscled version to your advantage when you're working to other skills like 90-degree handstand push-ups that have a much lower position when you come down and go back up again. If you're after more help, you'll find programs, video tutorials, and options for online coaching all on my website. So check that out at www.paultwyman.com.au. And I have some new courses and updates coming very, very soon.